What happens if you take a James Bond or a Mission Impossible movie, remove all of the badass action, the cool big set pieces, and all of the high stakes, and leave just the talking? You get this really boring Steven Soderbergh movie. So I just got to see The Black Bag, a brand new film from writer-director Steven Soderbergh, who of course is, one of the bigger name directors in Hollywood right now. Recently, he just released Presence earlier this year, which I raved about. Really liked that film. This is a very different movie. This movie stars Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett, who play a husband and wife who are both partners in this same spy organization. Is it MI6? I don't know. It's some kind of British spy agency, and they work together, and Michael Fassbender at the beginning of the movie is told, hey, there is a spy amongst you, among us, and it might be your wife, so you need to investigate and figure out who it is. Take out the mole. And yeah, that's the movie. It's Michael Fassbender trying to figure out who this spy is and what their plan is. And that's the movie. And what this movie actually is talking. It's a drama. There's no action in this movie. If you've heard online, this is a spy thriller. No, this is an investigation, politicking movie that is really kind of dull. When I first saw the trailer for this thing, I thought it looked very kind of dull and generic looking. Like, it's just not the type of film that would get me very excited. But then the reviews came out for this thing. This thing is holding at like a 90-something% of Rotten Tomatoes. I was like, whoa, okay, maybe this will be something special. My original assessment of thinking this kind of looked boring and generic ended up being how I ended up feeling about the whole product. There are some really, really strong parts of this movie. First things first, Michael Fassbender, I mean, he's great in everything he's in, but every time he gets to play one of these characters that's very kind of weird and quiet and methodical and almost like a serial killer, he's just so, like, amazing. He's so much fun to watch, kind of that Steve Jobs type characteristic. And he is exactly that in this movie. He's so enjoyable to watch sort of break down what's going on, but also the struggles of feeling like, is my wife really a part of this? I do actually love her. And still, the audience has to question it because he's so good. It's like, do we trust this guy? Because this is a film about liars, people that are professional liars. These people are all spies. They are trained to be liars, so you never know, are these relationships real? Are these people real? And Cate Blanchett is another star here. She is perfect in everything she's in. She's just arguably the best actress working today, and she's so just powerful and sexy and badass in this movie, and yet again, you never know her real intentions or what she's trying to do until the film actually gets to its wrapping point, which I really appreciated. The movie opens up with this long dinner sequence that I thought was really well done. It's just all the characters that may or may not be moles sitting at a table talking about their lives, and it's filled with tension and really tight writing that I really enjoyed. The dialogue's great, the performances are great, and it really becomes sort of a movie about relationships and love, and like that stuff is good. Once the movie leaves that sequence and becomes what the rest of the movie is, which is just this meandering, boring sort of procedural mystery where Michael Fassbender is looking for this mole in this spy agency, it just doesn't really work as well because, yet again, it is kind of like that Mission Impossible type plot structure. There is this big leak that's going on in the spy agency that could lead to a terrible, terrible thing happening around the world, and they tell you thousands of people could die. It's this world-changing thing, and we have to figure it out, but as you, like, slowly figure out what this sort of thing that might leak out actually is, this sort of MacGuffin of the movie, it becomes clear, like, oh, it's really not that bad. Like, the stakes here are not that high. Like, if the bad guy in this movie succeeds, like, really, like, what horrible thing is going to happen to our characters? Really nothing. And once that, like, that tension and the stakes of the film are taken away, it ends up being very boring, because then it's really just about this relationship of Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett, and whether it's going to survive, and whether they are going to be pitted against each other, and I just was never as fascinated by that as I would by the concept of a big spy movie of something's going to leak, that's going to destroy the world, and Michael Fassbender needs to figure out who it is, and hope to God it's not his wife. The stakes are just not high enough to really succeed in that premise. Especially, like, halfway through the movie, like, one of the not-so-main characters, another sort of character that is a major player in the world, it's sort of revealed that he's in on it, and they just kind of acknowledge it. They're like, oh, yeah, we know you're in on it. We can't do anything about it, so just stop being a dick, and let's go figure out who the other mole is. And that, yet again, just kind of sucked the air out of, like, the tension that this movie was trying to build. And yet again, this feels like a James Bond Mission Impossible movie that just didn't have the budget to do, like, action or anything. Now, I don't need a big action spy movie. You could do these political-type thrillers where just characters investigating in a mystery, right? Those movies do work, but this is a movie where I feel like it might have needed some of that sexy action. It needed Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett getting their hands a little bit dirty, and it would have made this movie a little bit more elevated than it is, but it's missing that element, and it feels like it's missing that element. It feels like somewhere in the script that was supposed to be there, but they didn't have the money, so they ripped it out, and now it's just characters sitting in really cheap locations. There's like 5 locations in this film, all of which look very cheap, and they're filmed very cheap, and it feels kind of like an indie movie, but it's not. It's not filmed by a first-time director on a very small budget. This is Steven Soderbergh, so it's just kind of bizarre. If this was like a first-time filmmaker on a very small budget, I'd say, bravo, you did a fantastic job, this is a great movie. But since it's like one of the highest working directors in Hollywood, it's like, this is strange. There are some really good scenes in the latter half of the movie, one that involves Michael Fassbender sort of interviewing and doing a lie detector test on a bunch of characters. I thought that was very well done. I think the third act, like the finale, is also well done, even though, yet again, the tension and the suspense that the film wants you to believe is there just wasn't really there for me. The dialogue is so tight and so fun, and a lot of these characters are really, well performed that I just enjoyed seeing them interact and figure out who this actual mole is, and although the revelation isn't, like, that satisfying, the ending of the film I thought was. I really enjoyed the last scene. And yeah, this is a film that, of course, people out there seem to be liking a lot more than I did. Yet again, I found myself to be very bored, and ultimately, this is a film that's going to end up being super, super forgettable for me just because there was nothing here that really made me go, whoa, that really made me sit up in my seat and go, okay, this is some special stuff. It was just kind of, really boring, really generic. It had some sprinkles of some interesting, fun things, like great performances and some good scenes with good dialogue. For the most part, this is a film that I can't recommend because I think you're just going to be bored out of your mind watching this one. There's not much to latch your teeth into, There's not much of a plot here, a plot that really feels suspenseful when it comes to being a spy thriller. There's no action to supplement the lack of suspense and tension and stakes of any sort of kind. Like, the biggest stake in this movie, yet again, is this marriage, which everybody keeps telling us is a perfect marriage, gonna fall apart, and the movie never really gives you a reason to care. But yeah, if you want to see Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett just act and do what they do, then go check out this movie. You're gonna see a lot of that, and you're going to enjoy it. If you don't really care about that stuff, take a break, go see Novocaine, alright? Because that movie I thought was a lot better. I will give Black Bag a 2.5 out of 5 stars, and yeah, I'm probably gonna forget about this by next week. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like this video, subscribe for more notifications. I'll see you in the next one.